So it seems like Dennis Schroder is a Golden State Warrior, and at 31 years old, he's arguably having the best season of his career, averaging 18.4 points, 6.6 assists per game, while shooting 50% from the two-point region and 38% from three on 6.5 attempts per game. Not only that, but he's a pesky defender who is willing to pick up from full court and well beyond the three-point line. 1.1 steals per game for the Nets thus far. And the lack of playmaking is apparent on the Warriors roster. Dennis is a walking paint touch. He can get by his main defender pretty consistently. He arguably becomes their best option in that regard. Steph is averaging 6.5 assists per game. Dennis is 0.1 higher, so they're pretty much the same. But let's take a look at potential assists per game. Draymond and Curry lead that category currently for the Warriors. Draymond, number 1 with 11. Steph is right behind him with 10.1 potential assists per game. So far this season, Dennis is averaging 13.1 per game. He's a guy who they can trust to handle in any situation while they run their traditional off-ball actions for Steph Curry or whoever, and also you can give him a screen in the pick and roll. The Warriors could also use a jolt in rim pressure on the basketball. They only average 39.5 drives per game, 5th fewest in the NBA among teams, and scoring-wise, this is probably his best asset, getting to the rim and finishing. He's just relentless downhill. Dennis is averaging 14.7 drives per game, 7.3 points per game off this situation, converting basically 50% of his shots on drives. But also, like we just went over, he's a threat to not only score for himself, but create a shot off his drives. And currently, he would easily lead the Warriors. Steph leads the team with 8.4 drives per game. You must take into account the difference in systems. So there definitely is potential that this drops off a bit, and also his numbers drop off a bit on the Warriors. However, the trio of Curry, Kuminga, and Dennis would consistently keep the defense honest because they aren't afraid of putting their head down and getting to the rack. And the thing is, he's been a legit efficient 3-level scorer this season. 0 to 3 feet from the basket, he's shooting 65%, which is a career high. His average over his career in that area has been 57%. Now, going to the mid-range, he's actually taking 1.9 mid-range shots per game, usually in the pick-and-roll situation. 10 to 16 feet from the basket is his hot spot in this regard. 57% for that region. And then, of course, 3-point wise, one of the better years of his NBA career, 38%. Maybe he comes back down to earth a little bit because over his career, he's been a 34% three-point shooter, and he's had seasons below that. Most recently, 32% from distance with the Lakers back in 2022. Now, the thing is, the Warriors are not a pick-and-roll team, nor are they good in the pick-and-roll. 0.83 points per possession. That's good for 7th worst team in the NBA in the pick-and-roll. But he does give them another threat in the pick-and-roll. And percentile-wise, he would be the best on the team this season. And quite frankly, it's not even close. And if you don't know what percentile is, percentiles are simple. They show the percentage of a sample the player is at something. If Lonzo Ball is in the 60th percentile at a stat XYZ, that means he has been better than 60% of the competition in that stat. And for whatever reason, Curry is really struggling in this regard compared to what he usually is. 45 percentile this season. But last season, he was 65%. Dennis this year, 73%. And nearly is averaging 1 point per pick and roll attempt. Hopefully this makes the Warriors offense a bit more dynamic now that they actually have another guy who is reliable in the pick and roll outside of Steph Curry. And one thing that is constant with him, his effort, his professionalism. He tries hard, he cares, he's a great teammate. He was 3rd on the Brooklyn Nets with 1.9 deflections per game. He really tries defensively, especially in the point of attack situation. And one of the main reasons the Nets haven't been a tanking team is because of Dennis. Not only is his on-court play a big part, but the organization has deemed him as the locker room leader, the on-court leader. Usually, lineups without him on the court are terrible for the Brooklyn Nets. He really has been keeping them organized while he's on the court. Young players have praised him for being a mentor. He's a great guy and should fit right in with the Warriors culture.